Good morning. You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz. 10:05, a beautiful Saturday morning, June 17th, 2017. I'm Jason Struby. Time for your weather and traffic. Roadways are looking good on the Central Coast. 117, 101, running strong in the area. 17, a bit slow there southbound through Los Gatos. Otherwise, things A-okay on the roadways. Weather fantastic this weekend. 80 degrees today and tomorrow here in Santa Cruz. Hotter inland, approaching 90 degrees in the upper elevations. Small craft advisory in effect on the Monterey Bay, and it's 10:06. Time for the Saturday special with your host, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Michael Zwerling. This is KSCO Santa Cruz. Saturday special starts right now. And we are live on YouTube.
I think I'm more than a myth. I mean, more of a myth than any of those other things you mentioned. So are we live on the video? Because have you pinged both of the cameras here?
We are. I have you live right now on YouTube.
Okay. Can you see me looking right into the camera? Because I want to know which one is picking me up.
Hey, is that hair on your palms I see? No, that couldn't be.
No, look.
No, they're very clean.
Or which, do you see it now?
No, I just see your face right now.
Okay, so this is the one that's live.
Correct.
All right, yeah, this is the iPhone that hasn't where the phone part of it isn't on the fritz.
Got it.
So we can use it theoretically.
Probably get a better picture if you hold it sideways, actually. There you go.
You mean like so?
That's full screen right there. 1080p.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other one out, right, and stop that, and put this mounted so that it doesn't have to, so that it'll just sort of take care of itself.
So for the folks at home who are wondering what we are talking about, we are streaming live on YouTube. You can find us on our YouTube channel. It's a matter of a simple Google search. Imagine that. You can Google KSCO Global. That's 2 words, and it is a YouTube channel. You will find it, and you will find our live video streaming right there today on KSCO.
Yeah, and in the future it'll be on the obvious place, KSCO.com, but it's not there today because our Director of Digital Operations, Jaunty, is indisposed somewhere in the mountains, camping with his family.
Good for him. On a Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, so in any case...
and happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Yes, and happy Father's Day to all the non-fathers.
Indeed.
Because why should they be discriminated against? Right?
Right.
I mean, after all, we don't want to... You know what I'm trying to say.
And happy Father's Day to all the mothers who had to be a father as well.
Bingo.
Uh-huh.
Very good. Okay, I'm concerned that the bleep is going to hit the fan on this program today, Jason. Because the heat's getting pretty intense here.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not kidding around. I'm dead serious. So why don't we, while I'm gathering my thoughts, why don't you play the opening jingle?
Good morning. A brighter day is here. Good morning. May we bring you cheer.
We've got time, we've got tunes, we've got time, tunes, and temperature.
Get up and go, it's today, on KSCO Radio.
Good morning, y'all. Welcome to Saturday Special Hour number 1 on June 17th in the year of our Lord 2017. Whoa! How long have you been alive? I've been alive since 1951, and I'm starting to get old. What about the rest of y'all?
And cranky.
Yeah.
Good morning. Now stay right here on KSCO Radio.
Yeah. It's okay. You're right that I am getting cranky. Why do you suppose I'm getting cranky? Is this just a normal function of age?
I don't know.
I hope not. All right, we got some major changes coming to the radio station, including the possibility that we might drop the everything that's negative on the station, because I think there's too much negativity in the world already. In fact, it's getting so intense that increasingly on the news, whether you call it real news or fake news, they are real events that are happening. Increasing shootings, violence, death, maimings, and so forth. I'm getting tired of it. I think we all are. And is it possible that businesses that like ours, where we like to provide a free speech forum for people with all points of views, are doing more harm than good to our society? Is that possible? This is what's begun to sink in to my little pea brain recently. And I've had sort of a seminal attitude change. Those of you who've been listening to KSCO for many years, and it's been like 26 and a half years since we've been running it our way, right? Will probably remember in the early 90s that I used to think it was really, really interesting, good radio to have hosts sniping at each other. And boy, was I wrong. After I got a bunch of faxes then, and even snail mails back in the early to mid 90s, saying, MZ, what you think is cute and fun and good radio is really garbage. It's really junk. It's stuff that nobody with any intelligence should be or would be proud of. So why don't you get with the program and realize that you're going to go nowhere fast if you don't stop appealing to the Jerry Springer side of humanity. And I took that seriously then, and I sort of changed my attitude back then. But here we are, deja vu all over again. We have not only we have guests and hosts who are being accused of saying terrible things, and me getting a lot of pressure from people to step on their necks, censor them, get rid of them, get them off the radio station altogether, or suffer negative things to our business, like advertiser boycotts, like challenges to the FCC license renewal, things like that. Sort of makes me feel, what the hell are we doing this for? I'm getting tired of it. I don't need to do this. I love the people at KSCO. They're wonderful people, including the pilot in command for the Saturday special right now, Jason.
Thank you.
So, there are many good things about KSCO, but I think increasingly it's becoming a negative force. And I don't like the direction that it's going. So we're going to change it. Now the question is, can we change it and become more positive and almost how do you become non-negative? You can't do that. There's so much negativity in the news and the world today. How do you do that? But I sort of don't want to be a party to making a bad situation worse. And I don't care who you are, I think just about everybody will agree that times couldn't be... I can't remember a more unsettling time in our country than right now, or unsettled. Everybody seems to be defined by whether they're a Trump supporter or a Trump opponent, right? Nobody seems to be on the fence. And if you announce yourself as one or the other, you're going to have instant enemies on the other side who are serious instant enemies, the kind of people who want to do you harm or see bad things happen to you because you happen to like or dislike the President of the United States. What is going on?
So
What's
true.
happened to us?
So true.
What's happened to us?
Yeah.
And what are we doing other than fanning those flames with our talk radio station? I'm getting sick of it. I really am. I want to reposition. I want to put KSCO on a different pathway. Now, some of you might have heard our announcement. We haven't made an announcement that's playing like every hour or several times every hour of the contract that I signed a few days ago before I had this epiphany. And I'm not saying that if I would have had the epiphany, I wouldn't have signed the contract. But the contract I signed on Thursday, I guess it was, Wednesday or Thursday, will put 4 to 7 p.m., the time slot, Monday through Friday, on KOMY only, KOMY AM 1340. Will become a drive time affiliate of the Michael Savage Show, Savage Nation, starting this Monday.
Breaking
It won't be
news.
live. We had originally intended to replace Alex Jones from 9 to noon live on KOMY with Michael Savage, 9 to noon on KOMY. And we could have done that, but because of when Savage does his program, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, if we would have put him on 9 to noon,
Would have been
where
like 20.
Alex was and is, but will not be much longer, it's only a matter of figuring out what we put there in its place.
Would have been a 21-hour delayed show.
Yeah, exactly. And that's out of the news cycle. As it is, from 4 to 7, it's going to be a 4-hour delay. But that's not the end of the world. I mean, right? I mean, it's still within the news day and the news cycle, right? So it's still things to talk about. Now, the program will have been produced 4 hours earlier, so that if you want to call in and talk to Savage, it's pretty hard to get through anyhow because it's a national show, but it will be impossible for you to call in then because the program will have happened 4 hours earlier. Doesn't matter. Most of the people, who listen to talk radio, 1,000, million times more people don't call than who do call. So that's not an issue, but the issue would have been, a one-day-old program.
And we'll have the only Savage in our market, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done the deal otherwise. And we've been making noises about this change for some time, and we finally pulled the trigger this week. So starting next week, if I haven't talked with Billy to confirm that all the satellite settings are correct and the time shift and so forth, because our equipment will need to record the program when it goes out live and replay it 4 hours later in the same order. So you'll have your choice of listening to Dave and the Flight 1080 crew from 4 to 7 live on KSCO 1080 or KSCO.com or any of our apps. Or if you want to listen to Michael Savage, you can tune in during the same time period, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday on KOMY, and that will be the program you hear. And if you are binaural, which means, and you have a couple of smartphones or one smartphone and one radio and so forth, not everybody can do this, but some people. It's sort of like, the saying, I'd give my right arm to be ambidextrous, right? some people some people can listen to one station in one ear and another station in the other ear. And if that's what people, because we don't want people tuning out of Flight 1080, but if they don't like Flight 1080 for whatever, they don't like Billy Sunshine or whatever, and they tune out anyhow, we'd rather have them listening to us, to our sister station, than to some competitor or nobody, right? So anyhow, that's what's going to happen on Monday. But I'm still depressed, ladies and gentlemen, because it's just during the past couple of days that it's hit me like a ton of bricks that we might well be part of the problem instead of what I would certainly prefer to be part of the solution to the angst and the sad state that our country is in. Now, I know that could sound like a pretty arrogant statement. How could a little, local radio station in Santa Cruz, California have that much of an impact? Well, it doesn't. But I mean, the whole talk radio industry, which I was proud to be a part of starting in 1991 when I bought the station, I'm sort of not too proud anymore, because what the hell are we accomplishing? Now, if we use the program time for positive, exciting things, like what the Futures do, what Dr. and Mrs. Future do on Tuesdays on KSCO Presents. And if we had more of that kind of positive programming on the radio station, that would make it a better radio station, I think. And certainly that's what we should do with this new KSCO SF idea that I have, to bring independent, traditionally interactive talk media, which is talk radio, to the Bay Area, which doesn't have it. Yeah, they have some stations that are trying to do it, but they're just doing the right, left, I'm better than you, you're better than me, screaming and yelling, Jerry Springer type stuff. So it's enough already. So anyhow, I sort of, maybe you have some thoughts about that to share if you want to give us a call at 831-479-1080. Or maybe you have some thoughts about, sort of what brought this on is a flurry of emails that I got yesterday demanding that we get rid of Billy Sunshine because he continuously says offensive things to, parts of our audience. And I don't want to get rid of Billy. I don't want to get rid of anybody. But I wish that our hosts would be more civil. Certainly towards each other, and not be sniping and, backbiting and everything. And just have more respect toward the audience. And if we're not going to, if we're not going to do that, if we're not going to become more respectful and more positive and more worthwhile, I'm just going to hang up my guns. Let someone else do this, because I'm not interested in being part of something that's not building, that's tearing down society. It's already torn down enough. Jason, I'm in the, I'm not outside. I'd like to go outside because it's a beautiful day. If there's any calls, let me know.
Yeah, we got calls coming in.
We do
it's
have
lighting
calls?
up,
Okay.
actually. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to, I'm just going to launch the app on the computer that allows me to see what we have here. Okay, let's see, host. Let's see if we can bring this up. So anyhow, yeah, if there's anybody who wants to, you want to start the calls right now. We've already done the intro, right? So we've done the good morning jingle, so formatics are taken care of, right?
Right.
Okay. So yeah.
So can you actually see the callers? Or
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm
Do you want me
trying to
to
do that
get
right
one
now.
booted
Yeah.
up? Okay.
Yeah. Just go ahead and tell me who's up first. And
We
we'll take the
got
call.
Wendy. Wendy, you are on the air.
Hello. It sounds like you got a little buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse.
Hey.
Yeah, and Michael Savage, that was pushing it. I mean, I don't know much about him, but I do know. But I do know he's a personal favorite of yours. And I heard your plans for the show. And I mean, it's there. You got it. And it's one of those that, yeah, as far as the time delay, yeah, your chances of actually getting on there are so rare. It's fine, I think, to have it at another time. And I don't want to sound like computerist, but the left seems to be a little quicker on the Twitter, except for Trump, of course.
They sure are. Right.
And we have to have things like right now, we got to do it right now. And the going home, we already have everything. Have a nice estate out on 101. That's good. The Comey stuff, the right, let them have their little.
Yeah.
Maybe
Now we're not going to put
right.
we're not going to put Comey. We're not going to put Savage on the KSCO SF stream. He's covered up here.
Oh yeah, totally.
But we will be putting Flight 1080. And I know there needs to be some changes on Flight 1080. Not some radical changes, but some changes.
You need to, send them out in mobile units over the hill occasionally. Get your $200,000 back, so they have something to talk about. They don't make enough to get over 17.
What did you say about $200,000? What did you just
Wasn't that
say?
the translators? For the two translators up there? Because you got an investment in
yeah,
South
that's
Bay.
what they all added up to, I think, about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you got an investment up there, and
oh,
some
listen,
more,
what else is
stories
new? I'm the world's greatest. I'm the first. I'm. Everybody in real estate loves me because I always come because I'm a dope, and I come along and I set new highs for particular sizes and classes of properties within a neighborhood. I'm the classic buy high and sell low person. That because
but you make sure you give it to a good guy who's going to fix it up right.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, which
anyhow,
you think on the big scale in Santa Cruz, I think, and this is one of them. I mean, you have created a conduit straight for a huge amount of people, and if we can give them day trips.
Well, but now the buyer's remorse
is
not about Savage. The buyer's remorse is about KSCO. And why am I having it 26 and a half years after purchasing it?
Well,
there is some buyer's remorse because looking back, what have we done in the whole scheme of things to make the world better? I guess I'm fishing for some compliments now.
Okay, you're the one holdout to independent radio. And now I think you're seeing that. Politics. Everyone's got it. Everyone's got it. Every podcast, everything. You need to give Santa Cruz to the over the hill because you get some of those over the hill people coming over here on the days we want them here. We don't want them on the weekends. Get out of here. It's a swamp. Please, no more tourists on the weekends. We need those South Bayers to say, I got a Tuesday off. Let's go to the mystery spot. Let's go to the boardwalk. Let's go to, just go over and spend some money in Santa Cruz when we actually want them here, especially in the summer. Oh, and the winter, my goodness. You've got a great advertiser, but you got to think like an advertiser and say what the advertisers want. I mean, I tried to sell you some ads for you. I did.
It's me. I forgot that I was. But so I'm sorry, Wendy. We're.
You're letting me have a lot of time.
Technology. Yeah, and there are a lot of other people. Thank you very much. Appreciate your call. Call 479-1080. The next caller is Jim and Marina. Hey, Jim, you're on KSCO.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for putting Michael Savage on KOMY, and the one thing that you've done.
Try another time here. We have. I guess 99% of the people are on cell phones now, and 99% of the time there are glitches. So we don't get to hear Jim unless he calls back again from a better position or a landline. But here is Zoltan in Santa Cruz.
Hey, I am Z.
Hey, Zoltan.
Okay, I just want to say thank you for putting Michael Savage on the Comey. He's one of the most brilliant, radio talk show hosts in the country. Very honest, very patriotic, borders, language, culture.
And
He's
fun to
100%
listen to.
behind.
Totally fun to listen to.
Oh yeah, and then
Yeah.
even when you get tired of the politics a little bit, he has so much information in him and so much wisdom that he can always teach somebody, be a better person. And when it comes to national security and all the information, he has uncovered so much information. What really helped, to get this country back on, back on the right direction. So when you're looking for, what have you done for this community in the last 26 years? You've done a lot. Okay, so you gave us a voice. Okay, for the people on the conservative side, and we can talk about what's bothering us, what's good for us, and what we're happy about, what we're not. And when it comes to Billy Sunshine, just tell him to stay on his own little slot. Okay, if I don't like him, I never tune in on that time. But at least
and you don't like his politics, but unlike so many other people who are going to go after my license if I don't get rid of him and to take him off the radio.
No, there's no need to go for this.
Turn the damn radio off if you don't like what you hear, idiots. Yeah, I just called a bunch of our people who listen to us idiots because I think they are. That's exactly what they are.
Yeah, well,
idiots. And by the way, if you're an idiot, you're not intelligent. And if you're not intelligent, you don't have the right to listen to KSCO.
Yeah,
so get the hell away. I don't want to hear from you, idiots. Okay, sorry about that rant, but I had to. Right?
Well, you're not mad at me, huh?
No, of course not.
Yeah, I know. But
it occurred, instead of being depressed from the people who are threatening, and I'm not depressed, instead of being depressed from all of the people who are angry, I should be upset with myself for not enforcing our number one rule. And that is KSCO is for intelligent people only. Stupid people must tune to another station immediately. And I consider anybody who demands that someone be censored because they don't like what they say, they don't like their opinion or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I don't care
as someone who is not intelligent and has no business listening to KSCO. Period. End of story. So I should be very upset with myself for not enforcing that rule, and that's gonna change. It is gonna change. We're gonna go back to enforcing that rule. Yes.
Yeah, if you just tell Billy Sunshine, don't call Georgia, don't bother us. That's our little water hole that twice a week. Okay, unfortunately, the liberals are just totally brain dead, agitated morons by Soros and the rest. They just want to hear themselves, and they hate anybody who is not on the same wavelength that they are.
Do you realize what you just said? You just said some terrible things about liberals. You don't have to be a liberal. You don't have to love a liberal, but you don't have to say such terrible things either. That's part of the negativity I'm talking about.
No. Well, I'm not negative. Okay, now to me, a liberal is almost like an old communist. Okay, the only way is their way. It's the dictatorial view. Look at the liberals are allied with the Muslims flooding Europe, flooding the USA. They just want to destroy things. They want to take things away from it. They want a lot of taxes. They want everything what somebody else has produced.
Do you think there are any liberals who like President Trump?
I haven't seen one yet.
I know
but
a few.
There were liberals who know that.
Did you hear what?
Trump.
I don't know if you could hear Jason. He said he knows a few, which is pretty cool. That's great.
Yeah.
What are their names?
They're more tolerant, maybe.
Should I give their addresses?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the phone keeps dying on me, so it's not. You pinged it, and I said allow, and then
we'll
it's
do it again.
Still not happening.
All right, here we go. Carry on, Zoltan.
And maybe it's a good thing because people would rather not see my face. My scruffy face.
Well, I just want to say that. Okay, just tell Billy Sunshine nicely. I don't care what he says on his time. Just don't bother us. Okay. And we'll be happy to hear ourselves. Okay. Now see what's what's good for the community and the country, on the side of the conservative. Because people like me, who grew up in a communist system, it's not much different than what the liberals want to have today. I already been through this garbage. With the constant brainwashing, constant fake news. During the communist system, the only thing what you heard is fake news, lies, lies, lies. There were always two sides of the story, and just him, constantly, bothering, Georgia, sucking up the oxygen from us. We don't need him. Just tell him, hey, just stay on your station. And I don't want to change.
I think he does that anyhow. Anyhow, Zoltan, thank you much. We got a lot of callers want to get to. Appreciate your call, though. Okay. There goes Zoltan. Opens up a line at 479-1080. That's in area 831. Here's Mike in Santa Cruz. Hi, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Hey. Okay. Well, I'm doing a little better, I think.
Okay. Well, hey, one of the things you're touching on is the polarization that's taking place, and
yeah, and I don't think I like to think that we're doing something to make that better, not worse. And the sinking feeling I've had, just the epiphany I've had lately, is maybe we're adding to the problem.
Well, I think what's happened is it's become a culture of partisanship, bipartisanship, and that's we don't even sometimes realize the degree to which we've been primed, and polarized to be bipartisan in things instead of focusing in on what we have in common, which would be, everybody who lives in the United States. I mean, it's a constitutional republic. I'm wondering what would happen if people focused a little bit more on communicating to each other based on that foundation of revisiting the Constitution and its construct, and actually discussing with each other or sharing what it is that we hold in common as far as constitutional form of government.
It's a great idea if that could be done in not too dry a way that makes people bored and tune out.
Well, I think that in the founding of the country, that those people, Sam Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, Washington, all those people, they were very passionate people with their convictions, and we shouldn't over-romanticize the process with which they, as critical thinkers, richly debated about the differences that they had and were mature enough to come around to what they could share together as common conviction and a foundation. Yeah. So I'm wondering now in this culture, where what happens is, corporate media really, like a vampire, relies on people getting polarized, relies on people even acting to the point of violence against each other, and forgetting what Congressman Ron Paul tried to encourage us. It's forget about special rights. Let's revisit right now in this time what it is that we share in common if we believe this republic is worth its salt. I mean, people like Roy Masters and others come to mind who are our elders, who have actually talked about what ails England and what ails America, and are we going to wake up and revisit something at a foundational level that we share in common, or are we going to let the vampire take us down with being polarized and attacking each other and devouring each other?
So, okay, well, thank you. So what does that mean here? What does that mean in terms of our role? Who's laughing? Who's laughing? Tony and Live Oak?
I guess I'm on. Yeah.
What's so funny, laughing, Tony?
Well, I was chuckling at your mode of expression. That's all. I want to be positive. I don't think you should have buyer's remorse. Am I on? Do you want to talk to me now, or do you want to continue what you were doing?
No, I'll talk to you now because I was done pretty much. I think.
Yeah, well, you made me laugh out loud a couple of times. Well, first of all, I think you know that I think your instincts are wonderful. I think they keep you out of trouble. I don't think you should have buyer's remorse 26 years later. I think you did everything you should have done up to that point. But the thing that is changing, and Dr. Wallach covered it beautifully in a couple of recent shows, the nutrition is getting so bad in this country that it is causing many of the crimes you worry about. The lack of attention span, kids being on their screens all the time, the attention span down to 10 seconds and 2 seconds. So you're being listened to by people who just can't pay attention.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What an interesting thought.
you're in a perfect position to parlay the good nutrition part of your life into fighting crime. He gave a name, a nutritional name to just about every crime you could see on a police blotter just a few days ago. I recommend you listen to that 20 minutes or so of his peroration.
I will.
So anyway,
Thank you, Tony. That's a great idea.
You're doing great, and think more nutrition and forget about psychology, and nutrition takes care of a lot of that stuff.
Okay,
bye.
Great. Thank you. Here's Peter in Seaside. Hey, Peter, you're on KSCO. Thanks for waiting.
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, I was listening yesterday when all this brouhaha came up, but
did you call me Charlie?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Well, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Zwerling.
Yeah, I sure am. Yeah, and I've been called worse things than Charlie. And I'm presumably you're
I was
talking
just watching
about
the
Charlie
U.S.
Friedman.
Open, and I had to run away from the table, so I was not thinking. So
Okay.
forgive me.
No problem. Hey, it's probably more of a compliment to be Charlie than to be MZ.
No. You have a great
So thank
show.
you.
I dig the vibes of KSCO. Okay.
All right.
But you asked the question, what have we done in the grand scheme of things to make the world a better place? Well, how about this? You could cut the teen suicide rate in half across America, the opioid addiction rate in half across America, if you would give the world something of extreme value. Tell the most truth. Tell the most truth, and you give the world something of value. And the biggest truth that can be told is LennonMurderTruth.com. If that story broke.
He got us again. He got us again.
We need to get some new software that saves these numbers associated with names. It would save us a lot of work too. All this call screening that we do.
It added to the program. I mean, God,
old
he
Peter.
sounds so smart.
I forget his name.
And he is pretty smart, actually.
Yeah.
So, all right. So take next. Who's next? Bob in Incline.
Hey.
Hi, Bob in Incline.
Hey, how you doing? This is something
Good.
you and I have discussed over time, so I have to be interested in this.
Bob, the possible morning drive host for KSCO SF. Should we say that?
I have volunteered. I will be there. Assuming I survive my surgery, you got me, baby.
This is the Bob who was the topic of our Saturday special recently. He's facing a pretty scary surgery for bladder cancer, and we had a great program that I received many compliments for, Bob. So, and you're getting pretty close, and everything's going to be great. I just have a gut feeling about that. So
I'm feeling pretty good today. So here we go. But I have a couple of comments on your thoughts there, because this is something I've been thinking about a long time. I would be the last person on earth to want to censor someone, because I think that's anti-American. But I have to temper that. Like, for instance, this gentleman that talked a few minutes ago, the gentleman had the Latin accent. Torritos? I didn't catch it.
Zoltan.
You obviously know. Zoltan, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, I'm a really liberal guy in some ways, but yet really conservative in others. I think a blanket label is frankly ill-advised. I'll give you an example. I'm a real gun guy. I like guns, and I actually believe that we should probably have some type of concealed carry law that is national with proper training and registration.
Absolutely,
my liberal friends,
I'm with you.
And
totally.
I don't like political correctness. I really think it's disgusting. On the other hand, I don't like the idea of continuous hate speech being over the public airways that I own, supposedly. I think there should be some balance, and I think because it's basically, even if it's true, the raw propagandizing ends up distorting people's view of the world they live in to a degree. I mean, if you're told constantly, if it's like Radio Berlin and the Jews are the enemy, the Jews are the banker, you're poor because of the Jews. If you hear that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then somebody goes out and burns down a Jewish business, gee, who's to blame on that, Michael? Where did that come from? In other words, take a look at our history and then look at what's happening now. The Muslims are the the enemy now, and then who's next? Just pick your poison. And what I don't like, and I think anyone who broadcasts, a station owner or a person who's on the air, has to be aware that they have an awesome responsibility to, I believe, speak the truth, at least the truth as they understand it, be able to admit when they're wrong, and try to prepare to evoke a positive, balanced view.
Do you listen to KSCO enough to mention some hosts by name whom you feel can admit when they are wrong?
Well, I think most of them can if you're talking about the local people. The national feeds are different.
Yeah.
So, no, I think if
okay, good. I'm happy you said that. I also, you and I have had conversations about you're a very civil thinking and civil minded and civil person, and you have pretty definite political views.
Oh yeah.
That if I were to, I hate to do labels, but if I had to label you, I would say that you're more left leaning. And
that's true.
Uh-huh.
That's true, but then it depends on how you define it.
Yeah.
I believe in a free market, but I also believe in a regulated market, because if you have total absolute freedom, you end up with disasters. I can give you a list: Enron, MCI, WorldCom, and the banks. The banks are in now worse condition than they were before. Since they're bigger, they control more of our lives. They want to toss out Dodd-Frank, and et cetera, et cetera.
That would be a good thing, because it's kept a lot of people from owning homes who should.
Well, there's a debate on that. Here's the problem: is the high price of homes a symptom, or is it the disease? I mean, there's a good show right there, and
you
that
got
I'll
that
give you
right.
about.
You know where there's another good show? I know that you respect but do not agree with most of what one of our hosts, Georgia, says, and that you and she have both responded positively to my suggestion that you get together on a program that I moderate, just talking about things, because you're both reasonable people.
Well, I'd like to do that.
Okay, let's do that on hour 2. Okay, you want to do? Yeah, Jason wants to do that on hour 2. I don't know if George is even around, or if you would be available. But in any case, we can just sort of scratch our heads on that and
Can I throw something out real quick?
Yes, please.
Do you mind? I want to give you an example of something, and this is just something for folks to think about. My father was a journeyman plumber, Local 38, San Francisco. We all lived in Santa Rosa, California, which is about 55 miles north of San Francisco. He earned in 1964 $21,000 a year on journeyman wages. He bought a brand new house. It had no yard to speak of. It wasn't finished. It was just basically dirt, but a brand new track house in Bennett Valley for $21,600. And I remember him saying, "This will take me, assuming I had no taxes and I had no other expenses whatsoever, this would take me roughly 1 year of time to pay off." And I'll never forget that, because my younger brother, also a journeyman plumber, Local 38, 20 years later, was making $66,000 a year as a plumber, working full-time. And that same house that my father bought in 1964, 20 years later, was worth $210,000. So you got the same guy, basically my brother, doing the same work for the same union, right?
Yeah.
Now it takes 3 years, if you figure the taxes, to buy that same house. And it basically, look at the wages, look at the earning power, and look what's happening.
Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I thought you were going to tell me, it takes 30 or 40 years, and there's a few refinances in the way.
Well, this was 20 years ago, too. I'm just giving you the examples I know.
Okay. I missed the 20 years part. But still, that's pretty amazing. I mean, they were doing 30-year mortgages back then and prior to then. So that would mean that it would take people 30 years to pay off a mortgage, not 1 or 2 or 3.
So, well, no, you're missing my point. I'm sorry. It's just Dad. We put it in relative terms. He didn't pay it off in a year. He simply said, "This is what it cost me in time," and he taught me. When you want to figure out the real cost, you don't look at what the dollars are. You look at what the time it takes to buy it. It puts it in perspective. And
the
I
time value of money. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. And you're probably going to move back here, probably, or at least have a place here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Probably either Petaluma or Mill Valley. So the down there and possibly a little closer. I love Sausalito. I wouldn't mind living in Sausalito. It's
I went through Mill Valley and Sausalito yesterday. You're right. They're great places.
But do you want to do this? Do you want to do something after the hour with Georgia? I'm here.
Okay. Well, we'll keep that in mind. And by the way, Jason, put him on.
I'm gonna take his
put
number.
Bob on hold.
Okay.
Yeah, take the number and give him the secret. The VIP line.
Okay. Got it.
The VIP line. Good to talk to you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bob. You take care. So let me put him on hold instead of drop him. Okay. And now take next. Who would that be? Why, it's Rick in Oakdale. Hi, Rick in Oakdale.
Let me get you off the phone. Okay. There we go. Hey,
you sound like you're right in the studio with us now. That's great.
Right on. You're not checking your email because you're outside sunning?
No, I'm not checking my email because I forgot.
Okay.
But I'll
that's
check
okay.
it now.
But the minute you started your program, I typed in unison exactly your thoughts, and I said, "MZ, you're blowing your secret weapon." All you could talk about was riveting radio 3, 4, 5 years ago.
And that's why even a week ago, and so now I feel like a fool.
Well, it's good that you admit that everyone is where they're at in life because of them, nobody else. You take complete responsibility for where you're at with your programming, with your show, with your thoughts and your mental attitude. It's probably the main reason you're having these issues is because your mom's not around to keep you in line. But that's
maybe
we can't have that. It could be because she always had that overwhelming presence. So with that being said, I have a solution: programming only. Okay. You're destroying one of the best shows that has evolved, and that's Flight 1080 with Billy Sunshine. If you want to give him a platform, put him with Alex Darnell. If people want to listen to those two clowns, then they can go to that day and that hour. And let Billy and Ben, who has turned into an incredible asset to your station, let them do it by themselves and not be overshadowed by this negativity that he puts out. He can, if he got on Alex's show, whatever his name is, I know it's not Alex Darnell. That's the other thing. How about people giving out their real names and standing up?
Alex has his reasons for not putting out.
Then get rid of him, because that is
now,
not
was that a kind thing to say?
No, absolutely, because he's not
People
a man.
have stage names all the time.
But
suppose I told you. Okay, wait a second, Rick. Suppose I told you that your friend and mine, Dave Michaels,
that's not his real name.
Yeah. Do you want me to get rid of him because he doesn't want to use his real name?
Well, I'll tell you what. There's people who have courage, and there's people who don't. If they have courage and want to express their opinion, give them all the free speech in the world. If you don't, then but understand this: Dave Michaels was with the radio station, working for you long before you put him where he was at, and that's understandable. Like I built the house for Mark Richmond, the weatherman, and I know he has a stage name for obvious reasons, because people who get mad at these people, go after them or whatever. But guess what? Georgia gives her real name, and Savage gives his real name, and people who have the truth behind them don't have the spineless attitude of trying to protect themselves because they might make somebody mad. If you think you're speaking the truth, then give your real name. If you want Billy Sunshine, you're going to win both ways. You want people want him still on the thing, put him with Alex Darnell. You're ruining Dave Michaels' show with Ben. He overshadows. He interrupts. He takes over the show to the point.
Billy, I think you said Ben, but I think you mean Billy, right? You said Ben just now.
Get rid of Ben? Did I say that?
you said you're ruining Dave Michaels' show with Ben, and I think you meant to say ruining the show with Billy.
No, that was the plural. The show now, Dave Michaels and Ben is the show.
Uh-huh.
The young man who has liberal tendencies. Absolutely. You know, it's amazing the truth that he gives out, especially the part about Billy's BO. You know, that's exciting. So
how do you know that that's true? Have you smelled Billy's BO?
No.
How do you know it's true?
I trust because Ben gave it to me and he's in the studio with him. Ben said that on the show.
Well, he might have been smelling something else in the studio that might have been someone else's BO, not Billy's.
Well, then you better check the iPod, or what do they call those little things that record this thing? You know, because that's the truth. Ben speaks the truth, and he's very open-minded and objective, and he absolutely analyzes
Maybe
things.
we need some deodorant in the studio.
Maybe you just need to move the physical issue to some other show and let Alex decide whether he's got BO. And let him spew his stuff with Alex. Everybody can go to that day and that time.
Do you like to listen to Alex, or does he irritate the hell out of you?
Absolutely not. Why would I let the negative of untruth into my mind?
So the answer is, okay.
That would be no, MZ. You have a keen sense of the obvious. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, understand this: that courage is what sets your platform, and what you're feeling is that your lack of courage to have something great and big, riveting radio, has destroyed your absolute stance in life.
No, wrong, Rick. We've had riveting radio, and look where it's gotten us. You know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You've given up standing for what you believe.
No,
to have
I will always
stand
for what I believe, and I'll always put out a radio station.
You don't believe what Billy Sunshine says.
But isn't it nice to challenge your own set of beliefs with one that might be contrary once in a while?
Absolutely. Let him do it. Let him do it on a liberal radio host with a liberal radio host. Don't overshadow one of the funniest guys, one of the most caring guys, one of the most gentle people, and hard-working. What is the name of your multi-level marketing business with Dr. Wallet? Hardest-working guys in your radio station. Why would you overshadow him with now, and you see for sure a negative aspect?
Hey,
no.
Are you talking about Dave? Are you talking about Dave?
Absolutely,
Michaels? Well, wait a second. Wait a second. What are you talking to me for? Dave is the pilot in command. Why aren't you having this lecture with Dave? Is Dave in the Dave cave? Is Dave there? Is he on the property?
He is. Jason? He's in the Dave cave right now.
Okay, go get him. See if he'll come in.
Okay.
Yeah, he needs to be talking to Rick, and Rick needs to give this lecture to Dave, not to poor old innocent MZ in this case. Okay.
So Dave made the decision to.
You're talking to the wrong. It's his show. It's not my. I mean, I own the station, but.
Oh, come on, MZ, be real. Be real. You overshadow everything that happens on every show. You're doing it right now.
Not at all.
Your decision. Absolutely. You're ready to hang up your bags, dude. You're done. You said you're done. If it keeps going this way, I'm done. I don't want any part of it.
If the negativity keeps on, I don't want any part of it because it doesn't achieve.
So you had nothing to do with Billy Sunshine on Flight 1080.
Except that I don't kick him off. I mean, I have that much to do with it, I guess. But no, it's a Dave thing, and let. Oh well. Will he come back after? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm taking up too much time. You guys got callers, but I'm telling you, MZ.
Okay.
You pulled this crap with me on your riveting radio one time. It was very uncouth. It was very, very bad taste on your part. And
you got to tell me about that later, okay? But I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. But it's KSCO Santa Cruz, Salinas, Monterey,
It's when I was
San
in
Jose.
the station. Yeah.
Okay. That's the news.
All right, let's go to news. KSCO Santa Cruz.
CBS's Matt Piper with more from the courthouse in Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Though the case ended in a mistrial, the district attorney is happy with the case they presented. DA Kevin Steele said he looks forward to getting accuser Andrea Constand a verdict.
She's entitled to a verdict in this case, and the citizens of Montgomery County, where this crime occurred, are entitled to a verdict in this case.
He says they'll next have to set a pretrial conference. The judge says they have 120 days, 4 months, to get their new case together. The judge told Cosby this is not a case of double jeopardy, and he will have to be tried again under the court of law. Matt Piper, CBS News, Norristown, Pennsylvania.
A damaged U.S. Navy destroyer safe in a Japanese port after it collided with a container ship last night, leaving 7 U.S. sailors unaccounted for. More on the USS Fitzgerald from CBS's Ben Tracy.
It is not yet known whether some of these missing sailors were thrown overboard or if they may be trapped in some of the damaged compartments of this ship. There appears to be significant damage to at least one side of this guided missile destroyer. The Navy says there was flooding in some compartments, but that it was not at the risk of sinking.
A number of U.S. soldiers have been wounded in an incident at a military base in northern Afghanistan. The attack occurred on a base which is the headquarters of the Afghan Army's 20th Corps in Mazar-i-Sharif. President Trump making no secret of his frustrations with the investigation into Russia, tweeting yesterday that he, quote, is being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director, end quote. The president referring to Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, as CBS's Errol Barnett reports from Washington.
His criticisms have concerned many members of Congress that Mr. Trump might dismiss Rosenstein as well. The agency says there are no plans for Rosenstein to recuse himself from the ongoing Russia investigation.
A potentially record-shattering heat wave getting ready to roll into the southwest U.S. It's threatening to bring 120-degree temperatures to parts of Arizona and California. Bob Oravec with the National Weather Service.
Well, anytime the temperatures do get to the 110, 115 or higher, it is dangerous, and people should take the necessary precautions to limit their outdoor exposures.
Celebrating Queen Elizabeth's birthday in the United Kingdom today.
Queen Elizabeth marks her 91st official birthday with a message to her subjects. After 3 terrorist attacks and a deadly apartment fire in 3 months, she says it's difficult to escape a very somber national mood. Yet she adds the British people have been resolute in the face of adversity. The main event of this birthday is the Trooping of the Color. The Queen inspects more than 1,600 red-coated parading soldiers in a tradition going back centuries. Larry Miller, CBS News, London.
This is CBS News.
I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch, where you can get the world's most comfortable sheets for less than half of what you'd pay in the store. Our sheets are made from 100% organic cotton and get softer over time. Even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping with promo code SLEEP. Spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. That's bollandbranch.com, promo code SLEEP.
Wouldn't it be great if you could stop crime before it happens? With the Ring Floodlight Cam, you can. I'm Jamie Siminoff, inventor and founder of Ring. Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated HD security camera that connects right to your phone, so you're alerted when anyone steps onto your property. You can now see, speak, or even sound an alarm right from your phone, anywhere, anytime. Does your floodlight prevent crime? Ours does. Go to ring.com/advantage and save $150 off of a Ring of Security kit. That's ring.com/advantage.
Now they can hack into e-cigarettes? Here's CBS's Jim Chenevey.
They seem to go together, smoking and hacking. Only in this case, the hacking involves electronic cigarettes and your computer and other devices. Cybersecurity experts say e-cigarettes can be turned into a hacking tool by adding a hardware chip that contains malicious software. Then when the e-cigarette is plugged into the USB port for charging, it connects to a computer or other smart device and the attack begins. Experts are warning that vaping devices can be used to plant malware, ransomware, or even a keylogger. Jim Chenevey, CBS News.
It was 45 years ago today.
Police say a security guard at the Watergate complex, which houses the Democratic National Committee, noticed tampering with locks last night and called the police and Democratic Party officials.
That's CBS's George Herman describing the break-in that launched the Watergate investigation, which eventually brought down the presidency of Richard Nixon. Bill Rakoff, CBS News.
I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch, where you can get the world's most comfortable sheets for less than half of what you'd pay in the store. Our sheets are made from 100% organic cotton and get softer over time. Even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets plus free shipping with promo code SLEEP. Spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. That's bollandbranch.com, promo code SLEEP.
Wouldn't it be great if you could stop crime before it happens? With the Ring Floodlight Cam, you can. I'm Jamie Siminoff, inventor and founder of Ring. Floodlight Cam is a motion-activated HD security camera that connects right to your phone, so you're alerted when anyone steps onto your property. You can now see, speak, or even sound an alarm right from your phone, anywhere, anytime. Does your floodlight prevent crime? Ours does. Go to ring.com/advantage and save $150 off of a Ring of Security kit. That's ring.com/advantage.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to KSCO AM 1080, FM 1041, 1079 San Jose on your FM dial, and also 95.7 FM in Salinas and Watsonville, California. We're also heard worldwide on KSCO.com and streaming live worldwide on our YouTube channel, KSCO Global. Check it out. It's 6 past 11 o'clock in the AM. Let's check quickly on your weather and traffic. So far, pretty much so good on your major roadways. Highway 117, 101 for the most part, rolling at the limit with a couple exceptions. And it's pretty much your usual slow spots there. Highway 1 northbound to Santa Cruz, below the limit between Rio Del Mar and 41st. 17 southbound through Los Gatos, backed up to Campbell. And 101 getting heavy as well through Morgan Hill and past Gilroy. Otherwise, Monterey County good on the 168, 183, 156, 129, and 152. Highway 9 looks good too. Clear skies today, sunny all day long. High near 80 degrees today and tomorrow here in Santa Cruz. Hotter inland, closer to 90 degrees in those upper elevations. Clear skies overnight, a low near 56. And your boater's forecast does include a small craft advisory in effect till 9 p.m. this evening. Don't forget to come down to the Dave Cave. Dave Michaels in the cave right now. 2300 Portola Drive. Come get your health on. Stocked up with Healthy Start packs. Beyond Tangy Tangerine, at least original, probably maybe even a 2.0 or 2 left. And we've also got Pollen Burst and all your other favorite longevity products. You get those here at the Dave Cave. He is here right now. Don't miss out. If you can't make it now, I'll be here later and tomorrow as well. It's 11:08 at KSCO. Time for hour 2 of the Saturday special. This is KSCO Santa Cruz. Take it away, Mr. Zwerling.
Do you have any interest, or do you think the audience has any interest in what I've been consuming during the break?
I don't know. As long as you don't masticate on the air, it'll probably be all right.
I masticate several times a day. I think most of us do. Anyhow, well, that's what I'm doing now. Jason, there is a place. Have you ever been to Bolinas, California? Not Salinas, Bolinas. Have you?
No, I have not. Where
Bolinas,
is that?
California is north of Stinson Beach, California. It's on the coast. It takes probably 45 minutes to an hour to drive to from San Francisco, depending on the traffic, obviously. You can take Highway 1 over the Golden Gate Bridge and follow like you're going to Muir Woods. Go past Muir Woods and just keep going up Stinson Beach and keep going past Stinson Beach. And you'll get to a turnoff to the left, and then to the left again to a cute little town, a little hamlet called Bolinas. And Bolinas has one of my favorite restaurants anywhere. It's called the Coast Cafe. And they make... I've never had a bad anything there. The food is really good, but but their chicken, shrimp, and sausage gumbo is out of this world and to die for, and I got that yesterday. And then their turkey chili with no beans, but just lots of cheese and lots of diced fresh tomatoes is also out of this world. Being just one person there and torn between those two things that I knew I would love, I got them both and just took one of them home. And that's what I've been consuming during the break here. And this turkey chili is so delicious, and it is pure protein. It's just, if you're on a keto diet where instead of carbs and sweets, you focus on fats and proteins, and the pounds just melt off. It's amazing. This is a great thing for the keto diet, this wonderful chili. And by the way, if you're listening to me, I don't know why you would be listening to me, but if you are, I have a suggestion for something that you might want to do today if you feel like taking a drive. Now, depending upon where you're listening from, if you're already in the Bay Area near or in San Francisco, and I know some people do listen to us here, today and tomorrow is the world-famous annual North Beach Festival. And it's going on throughout, on Columbus Street, the main drag of North Beach, and I think a little on Grant Street and so forth. And it's just fabulous. It goes on from 10 until 3, I think. So maybe even a little later. So if you want something to do, it's a great thing to come to, okay, and just enjoy. And it sounds like a commercial. I didn't tell them I was going to do anything, but I like to rave about places that are really, really good. And the Coast Cafe in Bolinas, California, is one of those places. So, shall we hit the hour 2 jingle to start it officially? Great.
Oh, hello, darling. I hate to hang up on you, but I'm sorry, baby, but I have to go. It's time for that wonderful record show. I'd love to visit, but you'll have to call back. KSCO has the inside track.
Oh, I'm reading an email from Troy all about Billy Sunshine. So I missed my cue there. Oh, damn it.
I'm sorry, baby, but I really gotta go to KSCO Radio. Bye.
I know. We'll do this. Yeah. So Jason tells me. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine. That's appropriate. That we do have Bob and Georgia, two very, very intelligent people. I mean, the kind of people that would be awe-inspiring to Colonel Terry. Ready to engage in a conversation with each other. However, you know what? Billy Sunshine didn't go over the line, according to Troy in Scotts Valley. But you know what? There's no time for any of this. All the people who we're going to go through the people who are. I'm going to read some emails, and I want to get all this done within 5 minutes because I want to get Georgia and Bob going at it here on the radio station. That I said there's going to be no negativity. They're going to go at it in a very respectable way, right? That's what we're going to do. But, we can't be rude to the people who called in earlier. So Andres in Capitola has a compliment. And, of course, he gets to stay on the longest because we like people who call to compliment us.
Hello?
You're on the air, Andres.
Yeah, you're on.
I wanted to clarify something that you said in the beginning. Zoltan didn't get it about who these idiots are and what they're doing, and then also wanted to compliment you on something that I appreciate the station has done. What he didn't get was that you were, from what I understood, you were talking about the people who will jump on this, call the FCC right away, who are following orders or suggestions from someone. They're following, command control, not just command communication.
That's pretty.
So
That's right. That's right. And the FCC isn't going to respond to them. They're just going to laugh at them. That's why they're idiots. The FCC doesn't.
And because they're being used, they're tools. They're being used by someone with an agenda, someone who has an agenda to kick off Billy Sunshine, someone who's trying to instigate things, which is not freedom-oriented, by the way.
For sure.
The compliment that I wanted, and the thing that I appreciate about your station historically, since I started listening to you guys, was the effect that Nick Polayich had on Watsonville's fluoride and other local elections. That was good radio. That was positive. That was, let's come together no matter what your national politics are, and let's
Thank you,
for
Andres.
for
Yeah,
fluoride
and that was
free
part
water.
of the
And
reason that I put out that fishing line for compliments, because I know we have done some good. I just forgot what
and
it
it has
was.
lasting it has lasting effects on all the people in Watsonville who aren't forced to be medicated with fluoride, and that's
Great.
good. That's as good as the longevity stuff. I think taking away the negative is almost as good as adding the positive in there.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Thank you very
I was gonna say
much
something
for
else,
calling
but I forgot. And thank you for everything that your radio station has done.
Appreciate the kind words. There goes Andres and Capitola. Here comes Colonel Terry. Quick, Colonel Terry.
Well, quickly.
You never compliment me, so you don't get to stay on as long as Andres did. But go ahead.
That's fine. I'll be brief. I respect reality, as you know, and we've got to look at the real facts. And we can't have distortions because of ideology or prejudices that deny honest, informed, yes, and intelligent dialogue, national conversation, including on KSCO. And for example, locally, I think your station can do a better job of exposing the waste, incompetence, and sometimes corruption of the Santa Cruz County and city government, by the way. An example includes the Lockefer proposal for $23 million instead of wasting $143 million on the poop to scoop plant for the Soquel Creek Water District. The library project downtown.
I elect you. Someone has to do this work, and someone has to pay for it. You do it, and I'll pay. Wait a minute, it's done.
You'll pay for it? Good.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say
it
that.
could be included in a way that's entertaining. I think you could get sponsors. The library expenditures are $100 million on the backs of Santa Cruz County taxpayers.
Okay. We're wasting time now. We want to get to George and Bob. Thanks for calling. You and I will talk more. Brad and Live Oak, community service, real quick. Then Stephen Carmel, then Ed in Santa Cruz, and then Georgia and Bob. After that, go ahead.
MZ, first of all, I want to say if there is one person on your station that needs no protection, it is Georgia. And Zoltan's completely wrong about keeping Billy Sunshine away from her because she can more than handle her own. Now, one of the things I want to tell you is I want to thank you, first of all, because I've said this before to you, and you have given me a connection to my community that I did not have while I had about 2.5 years of homelessness and lived in my truck. And the only connection I had to my community at that time, which at that time was going through a huge upheaval because of homelessness, was through you, your station, and all the hosts that allowed me to express myself and give my opinion, and not only on the radio, but when I came to functions at your station. They treated me with respect, they treated me like a person, and so did you. And that is what you provide your community. And I can't wait to hear Georgia and Bob, so I will stop. Thank you, MZ. Thank you very, very much.
Wow, thank you.
Thanks, Brad. I can relate with Brad's comment there. I lived in a car when I
can?
started working here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess I sort of remember that now.
The life's
Okay,
better now.
Stephen Carmel, real quick.
Yeah, you're like a referee at the Warriors playoff game against Cleveland and trying to make the players on both sides happy.
Yeah.
But here's an old saying, MZ, and it goes to what you're talking about, people getting along and maybe why they fight, right? It goes like this: we cannot hate or despise those things which we have not once loved. that's absolutely necessary, that we must have loved those things which we now hate or despise.
I'm not sure I go along with that or understand it.
It's kind of along the lines of Buddhism. So anyway.
Okay. All right.
Let's get George on.
Let's do it, but not until we have we hear from poor Ed.
Okay, bye.
Who has a Bellina story. Thank you, Steve. Ed, you're on, real quick.
Hi, MZ. You're
Hi.
doing a good job.
Thank you. Now you could stay on longer because you complimented
Only
me.
thing wrong with Billy, he's boring. Other than that,
boring? I can't disagree more. The guy talks fast, and he's boorish and overbearing, and that's not boring.
well, to me. Anyway, Belinas brings up a subject.
Okay.
Back in the early days, that's your friend Ed, the communication guy.
Oh, yeah.
My father bought a lot in Belinas for $25, which I inherited.
You still have it now? You still have it?
No, I sold it to a little girl next door up on the flats, and Celia and I used to go there and eat in a restaurant back in the 60s and 70s when they took the sign down so nobody could find Belinas. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that specifically, but I know that Bellinasons or Bellinans are famous for, being territorial and keeping outsiders out.
With Depression times, you got a lot for $25 if you subscribe to the Chronicle or something like that.
Got it. What did you sell it for?
Oh, I don't know, $3,000 or $4,000. It was unbuildable because it was only 25 feet wide.
All right. Okay, great.
It was fun.
Thank you for sharing that story, but we really need to get on to the meat, to what we think will be the meat of the program, okay?
I know.
Thank you, Ed. Always great to hear from you.
I thought you'd like the story. You always say you like my stories.
I always like your stories, and one day you and I are going to have to go to lunch at Bellina's at the Coast Cafe because it's wonderful.
Absolutely.
I take you to lunch this time, okay? Thank you so much. Here's Georgia. Hi, Georgia.
MZ, before we get started with Bob, can I respond to your statement about wanting us to get rid of negativity and play nice?
Yes.
Okay, I believe if we don't have an open dialogue and debate about what's going on, we are doomed. Because how else are we going to save ourselves? There is a desperate attempt to silence us when we have very important things to say. And what I'm about is saying things that others are either afraid to say or maybe they don't know because the media keeps us blind to the facts. So we have to search for the truth ourselves, and I'm willing to do that. The tragedy, MZ, is we're fighting each other instead of fighting the real enemy, which is tyranny. Make America Great Again is a nostalgia for the past because we feel we've been betrayed. Political correctness is nothing more than politics that doesn't allow discussion or debate. They want to tell us what to believe and what we can say. So I think what we do is healthy. Talking.
Okay. I reverse myself. Let's be as negative as possible now.
No, it isn't negative. It's a reality check on what they're telling us to believe versus what really is going on. MZ, it is tyranny. It is soft tyranny all around us.
Well, I certainly want to make America great again. You've heard me talk about my former next-door neighbor, Ken, and friend,
Yes.
who says make America great again. What they really mean is make America white again.
Uh-huh.
And you believe that, right?
Well, I believe that the white race has a right to survive and should be a majority in a country they founded. Yes, I do. Does that make me a supremacist? I mean,
well, let's ask Bob that, okay? Bob.
Hey there.
Here, I don't know if you've ever spoken to Georgia on her phone or elsewhere on KSCO, but you're doing it now.
Hi, Bob.
Georgia,
Hi.
this is Bob. Bob,
Hi.
this is Georgia.
Hi, Bob.
Good morning, ma'am. So much to talk about. I was thinking about what you just said. When I hear "Make America Great Again," I actually would like to see America. Well, I always thought America was pretty great anyway, but we are going through changes, and I think it's worthwhile to talk about it. I think the idea of picking out one race over another is short-term very satisfying, especially to a portion of the populace that's frustrated. I really get that, but I'll give you an example. I'm going in for surgery here in 4 days, and the gentleman that's performing the surgery happens to be he's an East Indian. His name is Istabar Gill. Now, you can't make this stuff up. And he is literally the best in the world at what he does. And I don't care if I'm grateful because it's him. I don't think wow, it's an Indian. Should I have a white guy working on me? No, I'm glad he's the best.
Yeah.
And no one would suggest that, Bob. My husband just went through a big treatment at UCSF, and his doctor was Chinese. This is not about making white everywhere. But if Jewish people identify as Jews, blacks identify as blacks, brown as browns, homosexuals as homosexuals, lesbians as lesbians, why can't white people identify with their whiteness without being called supremacists? Why?
I think logically it's a great question, but it has to do a lot with, in my mind, with the fact that for generation after generation after generation, the white race, if you want to call it that, has been dominant in economics, culture, the rest of it. So they've had an exalted position for generations and generations. And so now, as the country becomes more diverse, I think the folks that identify as Caucasian are starting to get a little bit of panic and starting to get upset. And I actually understand this. I do. But I think it's kind of, we're talking about the symptom, not the disease. I mean, Georgia, you're a smart gal. Let's put it this way. Do you really think we would be arguing over race and over identity if everybody was making a really terrific wage and they could retire well and take vacations and not be desperate over health care and over their kids being educated? Do you think if all those things were taken care of, do you think we'd really be worried about this?
No, I think you're right, and I think that's precisely the problem. You have to understand something, Bob. Everything that you enjoy in Western civilization was given to you by the white race. All I am saying is they have a right to survive. They have a right to be a majority in a country that they founded and created. I'm not trying to knock anybody else off the pedestal of using good, hard work to achieve what you're talking about. That's what America is about. But that's not what's happening, Bob. You surely must know white privilege and the white attack on anti-white is prevalent all over our campuses and all across this country. Surely you won't deny that. Excuse me.
I don't, but a couple of things. I like to deal in fact. I'm not a religious person, despite the fact that I'm facing a serious illness. My religion is reality. For instance, if you take a look back, there have been black Americans who have contributed significant advances in medicine. There was one, I believe, that was involved in early work with heart transplant. Didn't invent it, but came up with a methodology that made it better. There are Indians, and there are, all different kinds of people. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. We always have. Now, I don't think the white race needs, quote, protection. I think this is more of a symptom than really a disease. I think what we need to do is to figure out how to make us all secure in the sense of finance, politics, actually have a voice. Because right now, if you take a look across the board, we do not have a voice. I'm talking about white, black, Indian, doesn't matter. The 99% do not have a voice in politics, do not have a say in policy, because if we did, we would have a very, very different country. It is run by a very small oligarch of a few hundred families. Those folks in the top 2 or 3% of income earners really set policy. That's not a democracy. It really isn't.
Well, I totally agree. But when you talk about that you don't believe the white people are in trouble, explain to me why a professor at Evergreen College has lost his job, his income, purely because his skin is white. Tell me, Bob, why on every college campus now they are teaching white hatred and white privilege to children so that they can apologize for their whiteness. You're not hearing anybody doing that with blacks or browns or Asians, are you, Bob? It's only the white people. How do you explain that, Bob?
I'd have to honestly sit down and look at the circumstances. Assuming that what you're saying is true, I'd be against that. I think it's wrong. But I'd have to understand the circumstances. For instance, if you take a look at, I'm part American Indian, and we joke about Columbus Day. We call it at home. I'm a third Cherokee Choctaw, and we call Columbus Day. We should have kicked him off and killed him on the shore day, but but we don't mean it. It's a joke. It's the country is the way it is, and the folks that came over from Europe with their culture and with their education, all this, although they exploited folks and caused huge harm with the bringing of diseases. I mean, I'm dealing with the facts here. The reality of it is a very great country was made. Were there prices to be paid? Did the indigenous people pay a huge price? Yes. But overall, are most people, are they healthy? Are they happy? Did we build a great country? Yes, there's a price. And so would I have it any different? No, not really.
Well, it's interesting. Recently, I heard a wonderful Comanche Indian man talk for an hour, and he was talking about this myth that the Indians were treated the way they were treated, that those Indians were slaughtering those tribes right and left because the Comanches were the rulers. And then when the white men came in and took down the Comanches, he was praising the white people because he said that's what it's all about. It is about conquering. They came in and they won. So, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to look at this, Bob. Published history is mostly written in support of a particular cause, and the messenger tailors the message. And I believe we've been sold a bill of goods on a lot of things about our history, including the American Indians. They were savages, Bob.
Well,
killing their own people. What do you say about that?
Different tribes acted in different ways. Did you know that Benjamin Franklin? Did you know that Benjamin Franklin, I believe, took from the Iroquois the idea of how to structure some of our democratic processes? That's a fact. Also, for instance, the Cherokee, of which I'm part, actually was always considered more or less civilized by the standards, and were always more. For instance, now they own businesses. They've always been more forward-thinking. Other tribes, not so much. Now, an example also, I'll throw out a little story. My grandfather, I remember this, my father, and got this from his father, he would not let us check to see if we were even on the Dawson's list. If we had, our education would have been free, et cetera, all these benefits. My grandfather received a letter from the federal government indicating that there was a settlement for oil that was confiscated from Indian land. He literally tossed the letter in a fire and said, "I'll never take one damn dollar of their blood money." That's his attitude. And my father would have disowned us on the spot if we had tried to take anything from the government in that, because he despised the idea of dependence, especially based on race. We all succeeded or failed on our own. And I think that's the way to do it. And I agree with you that we have been sold a huge bill of goods. Basically, the education system in this country is designed to build and mold compliant drones, if you understand what I'm saying by that.
I do. Yeah, history is an ongoing revision. The storytelling changes over time. And my point about white people is if you look at affirmative action, Bob, a lot of kids are not being allowed to go into colleges because affirmative action is putting children, young people into schools that they're not qualified to be there. Now, I'm not saying those kids don't deserve to have a great life, but I think we have to relook at pushing people because of color into things that perhaps they can't even handle. And why aren't we training these young people for trades, things that they can make a decent living on? Why are we not allowing students who can actually qualify into these universities? I mean, it seems to me we're not doing it right, Bob.
Yeah. Now wait a second. I got it's poor old MZ. Remember me?
Yeah.
Okay. I've said this before on the air. I have nothing but contempt for affirmative action.
Oh, really?
Affirmative action kept me out of law school. Now I should love affirmative action because I should be thankful that I didn't go to law school and become a lawyer that a lot of people hate. You know, but it wasn't. I didn't have fabulous grades. But I had way better grades and way better law school admission test scores than the people of different races had who got in, and I did not.
That's what I'm talking about, MZ.
Right. That was not right close to 50 years ago, and it's not right today.
Yeah, I agree.
MZ, I'd like to make a comment on that.
I'm listening.
I actually happen to agree with you. I never cared for the concept of affirmative action. I never did. But then I also take a look. I like history, as you know. And starting with Reconstruction after the Civil War, we had a group of millions of people who were dispossessed, essentially were cast into, basically were removed from slavery, per se, and now are in a market for where they have to sell their skills, extreme prejudice, extreme racial hatred, especially in the South, but everywhere really, but of course worse in the South. They had no accumulation of wealth. They started from zero, and this was our forefathers' fault. They were brought over here. These folks didn't get on a boat and come over voluntarily. I have a question for you. I don't like affirmative action either. But if we have a group of people, whether they're black or Indian or whatever, and they have been treated horribly for generation after generation after generation, and the only thing that really changed anything was the Second World War, when we were so desperate for manpower, all of a sudden we started treating black men more like human beings than animals because we needed them. How would you fix this? What would be the way to make this right? How would we
start treating people right and not at the expense of other people, which is creating two wrongs. Two wrongs don't make a right. Don't make the pendulum swing so far the other way so that you have to make reparations, right, to the people who were abused. Just stop abusing them and treat everybody fairly. That's my answer to your question. Did I pass?
Bob, let me ask you something. Why is it that Asians don't play the victim card? You know, Asians have very intact families. They're very intelligent people. They're actually the smartest of all of us. They have the highest IQ. They just go to work, get their education, and go to business. You never hear Asians complain.
You never know what they're thinking.
Well, my point is they don't play the victim card. They go about their lives. My
and after you eat Chinese food, you're hungry in a half an hour.
Yeah, that's true. But I think this victimization card with blacks who have been freed of slavery, there's not a black person living in this country today who was a slave, and there isn't a white person alive today who was a slave owner. Why do we keep playing this card, this rhetoric, this narrative? What is the point in keeping those people in victimhood, Bob?
Two things. Let's use, I think it was Harvard. Harvard's endowment and part of its wealth was created by families that made money on slavery, so that there really is a carryover. I don't like it. I don't like to acknowledge it, but much of the wealth that's been passed on from generation to generation was created by the efforts of slaves. That's a fact. Number one. Number two, getting back to the original question regarding Asians, I happen to do some consulting work for a Chinese firm, and they're fascinating people. They're extraordinarily hardworking and very, very tight families, very, very integrated families. I think part of it, can't say all of it, is the fact that the family structure was destroyed by the effects of slavery. And I think that the conservatives, I hate to admit it sometimes, but they're right, that the welfare state set up in the 60s, although well-intentioned, caused more harm than good because it helped perpetuate the destruction of the black family. I believe that's true. Mm-hmm. So I think it's partially what happened in the past many years ago, and then what happened in the last 50 years. I think those two things added together, plus the fact that it's pretty easy to play the victim. It really is, and it's an excuse. There are other races, there are other people that actually play the victim card also. I think that has something to do with it, that it's easier than fighting. And I don't think that's right, but I do see that.
Well, I find it fascinating that it's never mentioned that black plantation owners own slaves. That's never, ever mentioned. It's never put into any kind of a movie. I believe that the black people were far more intact as a family unit in the 50s than they are today, and I blame it, Bob, on Hollywood, rap music, and all of this disintegration of our morality, the drugs, everything that's being pushed in this country. I don't believe that it's from mistreatment. I think they have done themselves in. Culturally, there are no black fathers inside those homes with those young boys. That is why we have this thuggery on our streets. You have to have a father in a family.
Is there anybody listening who would characterize what Georgia just said as racist?
I wouldn't.
Good. I don't think there's anybody.
But I will mention this. We do have a systematic, racially biased police system that I'll just give you an example. I did minor crimes when I was a teenager that I was caught for, and basically the police looked the other way. Had I been black and got into the system, and I would have had a black mark against me, my life may have been very different. I think there is a strong racial bias against blacks and people of color in this country, and that's been pretty much borne out.
What do you think, Georgia?
Over the last?
What do you think, Georgia? About what you just said?
I think there is definite racial bias in our country on all races. There's no question about that, Bob. And I think that it isn't a perfect world, and there are many police who do hideous things to blacks. But the other side of that is also many blacks are the creators of the crimes. And that goes back again to what I'm saying. There's no father in the house. Culturally, these people are just spinning out of control. Their music world, everything that you hear coming out of those young black people's mouths today does not make them stronger. When those people were intact with families and they went to church and they had that beautiful spiritual music, the gospel music, these were incredible families, and economically they were doing much better back then, even before civil rights.
I actually don't disagree with you. I think, though, that, and I agree with MZ, I don't like the idea of affirmative action, but I temper that with the idea that I would like to see in some way, preference is the wrong word, but you'd like to see, if you'll forgive the word, a bias, so that a young black man or a young black woman had at least a shot, and then they could rise or fail on their own to get in. It's a tough place. I understand the animosity toward a preference, but in a way, because of the culture and because of what happened over the last 150 years, you almost feel like, at least I almost feel like, you'd want to do something, whether it was a fund that provided scholarships or a tax break of some way that the society says, wow, we were wrong before, we're trying to fix it now, but we're going to give you a leg up, but then you're on your own. I mean, I think that's the best mix.
Boy, Bob, you really have a lot of white guilt. That's what I hear coming out of you. I think black people today have as many opportunities as anybody else. The question is, are they up for the game? Are they willing to do the work? We've got the Ben Carsons, the wonderful examples of black men who actually did the work, who rose to wherever their success took them through hard work. That is the American way, Bob, and it's open to all people. I don't get this white guilt that you're spewing here. Like that somehow they are not given the same privileges. We just decided that affirmative action many times puts people in schools that they aren't even qualified to be in. That isn't a smart move.
Here's the thing. Black unemployment right now is something like 2.5 times for younger people than it is for it's terrible. So is that the kids' problem, or is that a failure of capitalism? Now, I don't have guilt. I don't treat people badly, so I don't have personal
Capitalism?
guilt.
What does that have to do with it?
Yeah, of course. A lot. A lot. The
failure of the education system, not capitalism. I don't get it.
Well, it's a failure in the sense that failure of capitalism is an interesting term. It's a failure in the sense that our system, for all the benefits it allows, does not have a way to really help people rise up, and especially if you take a look at it, especially now in the United States. I heard a statistic the other day that if you're black, if you're Hispanic in this country, you have almost no chance. And if you're in poverty, the difficulty of getting out of poverty is just enormous, and the effort required is just amazing to make any changes. For instance, I'm a successful guy, but I'm a successful person because I had a decent education, and that was on the back of my parents. You know, they helped enormously, and there are many amazing black parents that help out their kids, but you're dealing with lower incomes, lower opportunities, not as many options available. How about that? Not as many options as you would think. I would like to think that all Americans had a fair shot, but I just don't see it from the economic point of view, and I consider that a failure of the economy. We don't have the opportunities. And these are one of the reasons. This is one of the reasons the Trump people are so upset, and rightly so. There was a time when a black man or a person with a lower level of education could rise up in manufacturing or in construction or in other labor-intensive but still highly skilled or semi-skilled jobs. Those jobs aren't there. And that's what I mean by a failure of capitalism, Michael. That it's a failure when a country like ours says, "Oh, well, we're going to set up a tax policy that allows us to send glass manufacturing to Mexico and plastic injection molding to China, and not have our own people be taken care of and have jobs for them." So yeah, if you want to call that I want to call that a failure of the system. If it's a failure of capitalism or failure of policy, we can argue that.
But, Bob, you left out one very important thing here. There are also millions of poor whites who are stuck in poverty. It is the same thing for all people who are stuck in poverty. It has nothing to do with color. Poverty is a terrible thing. And frankly, I blame Mr. Obama for a lot of this when it comes to the black race. I think he did nothing to help those people. Just take a look at Chicago and what goes on with the killings of killing black people on a daily basis. Him not wanting to give those people in terrible schools an ability to have vouchers to pull those kids out and give them a school where perhaps they could lift themselves up. I mean, I blame 8 years of Obama for the big mess we're in. Not that he's solely responsible, but certainly he did nothing, Bob, to make it better for those people. Those inner cities are something else, Chicago being one of the main ones. Just take a look at Detroit and Chicago and how those people are living, and be ashamed that that's happening in America.
Well, here's something I can throw back, and I actually agree with you. I was never an Obama fan, but for different reasons. For me, it started 75, 76, 77 under Carter and then Reagan, really. If you want to really get technical, it's Reagan. And I know this statistic pretty well, that our productivity as a people, the ability for us to produce goods and services, went up about 42% roughly between 1980 and 2015. I happen to know the statistic. Wages went up 0. So what you have is an economy that's basically dead, that the jobs we have, the so-called jobs we now have, are $10 an hour service jobs working for Walmart or for retail establishments. Manufacturing has been dying for decades. I submit that whether we blame Obama or the Bushes, or frankly I blame Bill Clinton and NAFTA if you want to get technical, and then Reagan for the destruction of unions if you also want to get technical, because worker protection went out the window. You add all this together, and you have offshoring and tax policy that removes manufacturing. I think that if we had a strong manufacturing base where there was opportunity for blacks and Hispanics, women, everybody else, all races, and poor whites to get a manufacturing job, and then the classic way America rose, when the Irish and the Italians and other folks came in and they immigrated, they were building railroads, they were working in manufacturing plants, and their children went to college. Their children became the doctors, the lawyers, the administrators, the merchants. But we no longer have that ladder. That ladder started to die in the 80s, and frankly is dead now. And that's why I understand the frustration of the Trump voters. My biggest challenge is Trump's the wrong guy, but yet the idea is correct. We need to do something about this.
Why do you say Trump is the wrong guy?
I was going to ask him that. Thanks, MZ. Yeah, why, Bob, do you say that?
3,000 lawsuits, 7 bankruptcies. The man has an incredibly rough reputation in his field. And also, I mean, if you want to just get down to the technical, I won't even get into the political style or the rest of it, but just basically that he inherited a lot of money. He was a terrific showman. He appealed to a certain segment that found that interesting. I never watched him, but but I understood what he was doing. I just think that he is the wrong person to lead us back into an industrial renovation, rebuilding.
And if not him, then Bob, please tell me who, because I can't come up with one person who is willing to stick his neck out as Trump is doing, who is a nationalist, not a globalist. So tell me who that person would be if not Donald Trump, Bob.
That would take a lot of examination and a lot of thought. If you go to the past, as a Republican, my favorite was Dwight Eisenhower. I would have to be a modern-day Dwight Eisenhower who believed in whose first thought was the care of the country, and the second thought had the guts to build infrastructure and to set policy to make America first in that way. He was the last Republican that I truly respected.
Well, isn't that what Trump is trying to do, even though he's being blocked right and left by absolutely everybody? Isn't that what he ran on? Isn't that what his campaign promises all were about, Bob? They've blocked this man. They've handcuffed him.
To a degree, I agree with you. But I also think that the idea of installing someone from Goldman Sachs when he was deriding the bank, well, gee, we hate the wolves that tore apart the economy, but we're going to put a wolf at the table. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's an inconsistency there. There really is.
Well, I think he's very Machiavellian, actually. I think he pulls in people because he wants to know what they're saying and what they're doing. Now, that's my opinion. You may not agree with it. But Trump surrounds himself with all kinds of people because he really has his finger on what's going on in far more ways than you and I will ever know.
Now,
that
Georgia
is a gift
Bob,
I believe he has.
There are 3 people who want to weigh in. and
right.
it's almost the end of the program, so let's give them a chance to do that. Okay, Rich and Salinas, go ahead and weigh in.
Yeah, up until just now, you've been talking about all of the problems around the edges that the globalists, since the beginning of our country, have been trying to create problems for us. Chaos management. All these things are things that they have created for us through the Civil War, the 1812, remember the Maine, the First World War. All these things were irrelevant. They were created by the globalists who have been trying to get control of the world ever since. Whether it's black against white or women against men or anything, any kind of conflict, they create them. We wouldn't have these things if they would stay out of our lives, but they want to run the world. So that's where the problem is the globalists, and that's what Trump is up against right now. Every globalist, Republican and Democrat, and from all over the world, different colors, races, and they're all globalists that are doing this to us. And we got to stop that, and that's what Trump's trying to do.
I agree,
Okay,
Rich.
thank you very much, Rich. Here's Steve from Pacific Grove, who has a black stepdaughter, must be daughter. Go ahead, Steve. You're on.
Hey, well, listen, I love you, hon. You're the best. This guy is another phony baloney horseradish peddler because he doesn't talk about all of the things Clinton done when he repealed all of these acts and just made everything so bad. And when you called him on it, he kind of sidestepped it. Oh my gee golly whiz! Keep on doing what you're doing, young lady, because you are full of hooey, old man. See you later.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Thank you,
What,
Steve.
what it says on the computer, he has a black stepdaughter, and what else could it be other than daughter? But anyhow, Mike and Live Oak about inalienable rights. How do they differ from unalienable rights?
Georgia and can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Just revisiting the point that was made earlier in the show about the Constitution and us actually not getting polarized, black or white, liberal, conservative, but certain unalienable rights given to us by our Creator. Can we have either a radio format or town hall gathering that talks about what our commonality is with certain unalienable rights given by our Creator, not created by government or man?
Right.
Who can argue with that?
So what I'm saying is that we get so caught up in our conditioning and this generation of rhetoric that we don't come back to square with saying how much do we know about how much we're willing to acknowledge or learn about certain unalienable rights that aren't given to us by our government, that aren't given to us, by any construct of man, but we were created with, and how can we actually cultivate a discussion and a rapport with each other based on that understanding and to protect that and re-wake up to guard it from enemies foreign and domestic.
Mr. Lobo sends in an email the following. The title is fascinating. MZ, nothing is more fascinating than hearing three white old farts talking race relations. What a joke. Warmly, Mr. Lobo. P.S. Invite someone like Harry Edwards on, and maybe you'll have an interesting show. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lobo. Now, wait a second. There's a whole bunch of other things here in only a minute or two. Bob has guilt. Bob should get rid of his guilt about blacks. We don't need it in our lives. Best Steve of Carmel. Hi from an Asian. MZ, I see you on YouTube. UCSC refused to process my application for admission 3 times. The head of the admin's name is Olga. Last name starts with an E. That was in the 80s. I wanted to transfer back home to complete the BA. Firefox browser won't let me see you live. Okay, well, that's very nice. But here now, George, one way to cut back on negativity is get rid of rednecks like Georgia. Her and Savage will get along famously. Sorry for being negative but that woman brings out the worst in me. You're losing touch with Sandy Cruz now that you love the Bay Area. Lots of luck, Rusty.
Wow.
We have
All
1
right.
minute. Okay.
He doesn't even know that a redneck is a farmer. I'm hardly a redneck, sir.
Yeah.
I was never a farmer.
He also says Savage is no help. I think it's weird that you want to avoid negativity. Then you hire one of the most negative people in the world, Michael Savage. Don't fire Sunshine. Leave it alone. Life is negative. It gets worse every day. Savage will stir up the pot. Staying positive is tough. You should join a monastery or buy an island. Stay cool.
Hey, Michael, just
Yes, sir.
for the record, I don't have white guilt because I'm not a white guy. So there you go. But I'm part Indian.
You're a red guy. Are you our resident redneck?
Probably.
That's it for the folks. That's it, folks.
Anyway,
see you next week.
Thanks
And
for
good
all of it.
luck to you, Bob. Godspeed on your surgery.
You take care.
Thanks,
KSCO,
everybody.
Santa Cruz,
KSCO.
Salinas, Monterey, San Jose. Here's the news.
CBS News, I'm Bill Rakoff. Crowds of Bill Cosby supporters cheering the 79-year-old comedian on after a mistrial was declared in his sexual assault case today. CBS's Matt Piper was in the courtroom.
Hopelessly deadlocked. That is the note that the jury sent to the judge this morning. After the 12 jurors could not come to a decision on any of the counts that Bill Cosby faced, the judge was forced to declare a mistrial. Some accusers in the courtroom noticeably upset. They were crying. Bill Cosby himself walked out of court and had nothing to say.
The Montgomery County DA, Kevin Steele, says he'll retry Cosby on the accusations that he drugged and assaulted Andrea Constant at his Philadelphia area home in 2004.
We hope that doing this and moving forward in this case sends a strong message that victims of these type of crimes can come forward.
The search continues for 7 missing U.S. Navy sailors after the collision of the destroyer USS Fitzgerald and a cargo container ship off the Japanese coast. CBS Pentagon correspondent David Martin says the circumstances raise more questions than answers, including why the captain wasn't on the bridge at the time.
This was a very crowded shipping lane, and the captain, before he goes to bed each night, gives the officer of the deck what are called night orders, in which the officer of the deck is told to wake the captain and tell him whenever a ship approaches too close.
The Fitzgerald now safely in port. The suburban Washington neighborhood that was rocked by rifle shot Wednesday morning trying to get back to normal, as we hear from WTOP reporter Dennis Foley.
Streets around the park where Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise and 4 others were shot and wounded had been closed off to the public since Wednesday morning. The FBI finished their shooting trajectory analysis Saturday morning, so now people are getting their first chance to return to the site. The nearby YMCA, stores, and a dog park had all been blocked off from the public since the shooting. Now people are able to go back to the YMCA, get to the pharmacy, and get belongings that had to be left behind, like their cars. But they will also be seeing the baseball field for the first time since the attack. Dennis Foley for CBS News, Washington.
More deaths have been confirmed in the London high-rise apartment fire. The number expected to go up, according to Police Commander Stuart Cundy.
There may be other people who were in there on the night that others were not aware were there.
The death toll now stands at 58 from the fire at the Grenfell Tower. Only 30 bodies have been recovered so far. The president once sent a set of Camp David, quote, "It's very nice. You know how long you'd like it? For about 30 minutes. Well, Mr. Trump's finally spending his first weekend at the presidential mountain retreat in Maryland, along with his wife Melania and son Barron. The three there flew from the White House there this morning. Mr. Trump's